I'm Nigel Slater. I don't think cooking needs to be about expensive ingredients and hours of work. Sometimes the simplest combinations are the best. That's what this series is all about. Think sweet and sour, soft and crisp, surf and turf.
So it's just a way to turn very humble ingredients into something that's actually really exciting to eat.
I'll be cooking favourite dishes and experimenting with some new ones.
It's the textures that make that so special for me.
Some ingredients are just made to be together. Understand why, and you'll transform your cooking.
It's salty, it's refreshing, all at once. It's everything I want a mouthful of food to be.
Today, I'm looking at soft and crisp.
It's about textures that work together. Get them right, and you can turn a simple supper into a great one.
Contrasting textures in a mouthful can really bring a recipe to life. Soft and crisp are both lovely on their own, but put them together and the results are heavenly. I'm not the only one who thinks so.
That's amazing.
I think the real origin of my love of things crisp and soft together was pizza. That crisp, slightly burnt crust, and then the soft melting cheese on top. And no, you can't beat a good pizza, but I don't always want to be making one.
So I want to start by experimenting with traditional pizza textures to see what happens if I assemble them in a different way. I'm going to try a really simple mixture of soft tomatoes and mozzarella topped with a crisp Parmesan crust. Firstly, I'm going to make the crust. Use perfectly ripe tomatoes, discard the watery seeds and chop into small pieces.
When I think of flavours that work together, the first one that comes off the top of my head every time is tomato and basil. I can't think of two flavours that work together quite as well as these two. In a sauce, in a salad, in a soup, it's endless.
For the crust to have crunch, add breadcrumbs. It helps if the bread's a bit stale. Don't blitz them too finely.
The whole crunchiness of this dish partly relies on different sizes of crumbs. So some fine and some a little bit coarser.
The final ingredient for the crust is a good handful of freshly grated Parmesan.
Tomatoes, basil, Parmesan, they're three ingredients that are happy to hold hands. They love being in each other's company. Be generous. A little bit of black pepper. And then just a trickle of oil. And this time it really does have to be olive. And then that sits under a hot grill until it starts to crisp. And this is buffalo mozzarella, and it really is the only mozzarella worth using for this. It's creamy. And you can slice it if you like. It'll go a little bit further if you do. But I like to tear it apart. And you get smooth skin on the outside, and then this rough but soft inside. That's the bit I really love. I'll make a little dressing for that.
Nothing complicated, just basil whizzed up with some flat leaf parsley and olive oil.
This isn't a fancy sauce. It's green herbs and olive oil. We've got quite a lot of other flavours going on in the crust.
I love the combination of the milky white cheese and the vibrant green dressing. Everyone's got a favourite pizza topping. Today, I fancy a few slices of salami, but Parma ham would work as well.
There's no great surprises here. We know these flavours. We know they work. They've been used together forever. So all this is very, very soft. I want my crisp crust to go with it.
Keep an eye on the crisp topping. It's done when the breadcrumbs and parmesan are golden brown. It smells amazing, so I'm really hoping my upside-down pizza will come together in a marriage of soft and crisp.
It's everything I want food to be. It's familiar. I know and love these ingredients, and they marry perfectly together. But it's something new, it's something different. Just a tiny little change to something I know and love.
When you take ingredients like these that are meant to be together, it's fun to experiment. And by drawing inspiration from a pizza, I've made a simple mozzarella and tomato salad into a sublime supper. Soft melting cheese goes particularly well with something crisp. Think of a slice of cheese on toast, just catching at the edges, or a piece of goat's cheese on a cracker. But there are other similar combinations that work particularly well. And after coming up with something new, I think it's time to look at a classic.
The one soft and crisp recipe that never fails to please is a pie. It's that moment of crunchy crust and a soft filling. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's sweet or savoury, as long as it's a pie.
What is essential is getting that light and flaky pastry with something soft inside. And butternut squash works beautifully in a pie.
Scoop out the seeds and the fibres. They're of no use to anybody, but they're very good on the compost.
Cut the flesh into equal-sized chunks so it cooks evenly. Butternut squash takes ages to roast in the oven, so I'm giving this a head start by steaming it first.
And I haven't got a proper steamer, so I make one with a kitchen colander balanced over a pot of hot water. And you pop that onto steam for about 20 minutes or so.
Next, it's going to get a roasting. Olive oil or groundnut would work. I'm using rapeseed.
And a little bit of richness, I'm going to add some butter. There's masses of natural sugar in any of the squash family. And what I want to do is to caramelise that sweetness in the oven. I'm going to put a little bit of cinnamon in here. It works beautifully with the pumpkin family.
It isn't just a spice for sweet recipes. It adds a depth to savoury dishes like this one.
The really important thing for any pie is to have a crisp pastry and to have soft filling. And so I'm going to mash my squash. Then that goes in the oven for about half an hour.
Next, the crust. I'm going to use puff pastry for my pie. Light as a feather and crisp. It's nice to make it from scratch, but I often take a shortcut and use ready-made.
Give it an extra roll. Although this is really thin and ready rolled, I want it to be even thinner and crisper. I want these edges to stick together firmly. So I'm going to brush them with a little bit of egg wash. Put the other piece of pastry on top of that. And then just press the edges round very firmly to seal them.
2 or 3 slits in the top will let the steam out.
And although I do like a really crisp crust and a soft filling, I also like that bit just underneath the top bit of the crust where the filling or the sauce meets the pastry. It's partly crisp and partly soft, and it's sublime. And then into a really hot oven. And that'll take about 20 minutes or so.
can't rush a pie. There's no shortcut when you're waiting for the filling to cook through and the pastry to turn gold. Patience is all.
I've got a crisp crust there. It is that thing of something very soft and fluffy, encased in something crisp and crunchy. And its textures that just work.
Don't be scared of pastry. Take that little shortcut with good quality ready-made, and you'll still get a brilliant result. When you get that combination of luscious and crunchy right, a pie is a thing of beauty. And the simpler, the better. I've always found the combination of sunshine and sea air makes me hungry. I've come to Brighton to meet a couple who run a seafront takeaway with a difference.
Well, when I met Jack, he was just part-time fisherman. And then I started going fishing with him. And I really took to the sea. I like the sea anyway, but it's lovely to work down here.
Jack and Linda Mills have been together for 45 years. For the last 15, they've run a popular takeaway shop right on Brighton Beach.
We know all the fishermen, so the fishermen bring the fish into the harbour, which is always freshly caught, and it comes from the harbour to us. And then we fillet it, brine it, and then smoke it. And then, of course, the next day people love it, and it's lovely and fresh.
Jack's granddad was a fish smoker, so when Jack retired, opening a smokehouse seemed like a good idea. Although things got off to a slow start.
The first time we opened, I think we took about £7. We thought, we've done it wrong.
Yeah,
we've done it all wrong.
We do it mad.
And then from then it's just blossomed. It's just grown and grown and grown. You know, we meet lots of nice people, and it's really, really good.
Linda's going to share the secrets of one of her best sellers, an incredibly simple mackerel pâté. It's a no-cook, no-fuss recipe. She starts off with breadcrumbs.
So do you get through a lot of this in the summer then?
I use a batch every day. I cut some of our homegrown shallots.
So they're from your garden? Well done.
It worked out very, very successfully this year. Do the mackerel. And in theory, there shouldn't be any bones left.
But you give it a quick check for bones?
Yeah.
Because you can be really, really careful about getting the bones out, and yet somebody will always find one.
Well, that's the way, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, so.
Fish has bones.
Yes, right. There are some people that are better at finding the bones than others.
Possibly, yeah. You just add the mackerel. And this that up.
Then she adds some dry sherry.
And I don't put a lot in.
No.
Because we're not trying to get people drunk.
Yes,
And would you like to put a little bit of toast on for us?
I would
So we
certainly.
know just a nice hot toast.
Finally, Linda pours in some single cream.
Well, I normally quite like it that consistency, which is quite enough.
So it's just
Just so
about
it's
to fall off the spoon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
that sort of, on the edge. With the black pepper.
black pepper. Then that is ready. Put that
What's
there.
so lovely is the way everything here is so simple.
Well, I always believe in not complicating food. Simple food is so much better.
Especially when the raw ingredient is just so spot on
That's right.
and so perfect.
It's a why spoil it. Are we done?
Yes.
Have you got a plate? You got a
Yes.
nice plate?
Have a plate.
Let me give you a taste of that and see what you think. No?
I like my toast when it's very brown around the edges like that.
Adds flavour.
It certainly does. It's simple.
And it's easy for anybody to make.
It's half a dozen ingredients and some gorgeous fish.
Yeah.
It's that marriage of something very soft and something crisp.
Yes.
And it just works.
It just works.
A day at the seaside has brought back memories of the things I used to eat on holiday when I was young. They always tasted extra special. I've come up with my take on a childhood favourite, poached pears with a cream and biscuit filling. When I was a kid, we used to go on holiday to the same place every year. And I looked forward to it because the place we stayed at had this dessert that was pears with ice cream and chocolate sauce. And it was one of my favourite things. And this really is just a slightly grown-up version of that, made with fresh pears. Not canned, which they were in those days. Poach the pears in sugar syrup. A little lemon juice will stop them going brown. I'm adding a vanilla pod, but a few drops of vanilla extract would work too. So when the pears have been simmering in their syrup for about 15-20 minutes, just test them with the point of a knife to make sure they're really, really soft and tender. They should be on the verge of collapse. Let the pears cool in the syrup and then put them in the fridge to chill while preparing the filling. I like to whip cream by hand so I can stop the second it reaches the perfect texture. Take no notice of anybody who says whip it to firm peaks. That's too far. You want it to be soft and voluptuous. Just hold its shape on the whisk. I don't want to whip it any more than that. And then keep that really cold. And I've got the lovely soft fruit. I've got the softly whipped cream. But I want something crunchy as a change of texture. And for that, I use some expensive biscuits. They can be anything, sometimes brandy snaps, sometimes ginger biscuits with chocolate on them, sometimes just little Florentines. Whichever ones you use, the only really important thing about them is that they're crisp and crunchy. You only need a few of these lovely biscuits. A little goes a long way. And I'm filling these very generously because, you know, it's a pudding, it's special. I'm just going to go for it. The final indulgence, a trickle of melted dark chocolate. And then I'm going to pop that in the fridge just so that last little bit of chocolate goes crisp on top of the cream. I can't think of a better way to round off an evening meal, but the perk of being the cook means that I don't have to wait that long. I mean, of course the flavours work. They're classics. But it's the textures that make that so special for me. It's the crisp biscuits, it's the soft cream, it's the juicy pears, and then that last little bit of very crisp chocolate on top. It's truly, truly gorgeous. This sweet treat is a delight to make and even more enjoyable to eat. A childhood memory made real. I'm back in Brighton with Linda and Jack, who run a seafront smokehouse. I want to cook them a quick snack that's a wonderful combination of soft and crisp, light sweet corn fritters topped with cream cheese.
Lovely.
Oh, lovely. We love sweet corn.
Just
Self-contained foods.
I know.
Oh, they're just
It's
right too
wonderful.
long. They're lovely.
I know. I can never grow them.
And we've
No.
grown them, but they're not highly successful.
They're quite tricky, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they take a bit of space. I thought it'd be quite fun to make some little cakes with them. And I know you can buy them in a bag, but there's something about fresh sweet corn.
No, it's much
No,
nicer. It's
much
much
nicer.
nicer. Like.
Whoops. Sorry. To shower you with them. This is a incredibly simple recipe. In fact, it's so simple you almost can't call it a recipe, but it's delicious nevertheless. Put an egg in there. I'm making a simple batter by adding an egg and some self-raising flour straight into the corn. Suppose about a tablespoon, heaped. To make the batter even lighter, add an extra egg white. You know, it's funny, that thing that I've always known, that eating outside, for me, it's the best seasoning of the lot, is fresh air. But actually cooking outside is something that I discovered not so long ago. And now it's like any excuse. I'll get the little camp stove going and whisk up the egg white in a second bowl and then fold it into the sweet corn batter.
It's all lovely and light.
What I'm hoping to do is just almost suspend the crunchy sweet corn kernels in just a very soft, almost like a little pancake, so that you get a little bit of soft pancake and then the crisp kernels. That's what I'm hoping to do. But we'll see. I'm going to keep the heat in with a bit of Boy Scout stuff.
It's really nice here.
It's going to work.
Yes. So it's lovely to eat outside because you can have fun. It's really fun.
It's part of it, yeah.
It is fun.
There's something very British about this. The other thing that works for me with sweet corn every time is black pepper. Yeah.
It's a lovely thing to use the stone as what you call logical thinking.
You know, you think you've packed everything. Peppery cream cheese is the perfect topping.
Very nice too. Made me hungry.
Noted.
Well, we're just about done. Now, cooking outdoors, it is always a little bit of an adventure, no matter how organised you think you are. So one of these little chaps here,
Oh, I look amazing.
would you like a bit of cream cheese?
Yes, please.
Put them on top there. Pass that over to you.
Thank you.
Wait to taste this.
Very nice. Amazing. It's all crunchy.
It's
Amazing.
because the sweet corn actually cooks for such a short time in the pan that it still stays really, really crisp and really crunchy.
That's amazing. That's really nice.
Simple recipes are definitely the best way to experiment with textures. Check out the website for lots more information on all of these ideas. Soft fish works with a brittle coating. I want to use those classic textures in a crab cake, and alongside a chip shop favourite, mushy peas. Just a few ingredients, easy to make and so delicious. To start, I'll need equal amounts of brown and white crab meat. You can buy it from a fishmonger or a supermarket. And I like to give them a bit of zip, and for that I use citrus notes like lemongrass and lime. The lemongrass needs chopping as finely as possible, and I'm going to use the juice and the zest of the lime. Now, crab's a really rich ingredient. You need flavours in there that will lighten it up, give it some life. So anything hot or citrusy works beautifully. And then the juice. Lime and ginger and lemongrass. There just has to be chilli in there as well. I mean, put as much or as little as you like. For this recipe, I want the flavour of chilli, but not the heat. So discard the seeds and chop finely. To complement the flavours of lemongrass and lime, ginger and chilli, add finely sliced spring onions and a handful of shredded coriander. A beaten egg and breadcrumbs will bind the mixture. But also they'll give lovely crunchy bits as they fry in the pan.
I just softly push them together. Now those little chaps need to go in the fridge for a good half an hour, just so all the ingredients get to know one another and they firm up a little bit. I want something quite substantial with my little crab cakes, and so a nice pile of pea puree.
Use fresh or frozen.
And a little bit of mint in with those.
Add a little olive oil or melted butter and it's done. It couldn't be simpler.
So once you see the oil start to shimmer, then you know it's hot enough to put the cakes in. There's always a huge temptation to fiddle with things that are frying, to poke them and move them around. But if you do that too much, then you won't get a crust forming on the bottom because it won't get a chance. So I just leave them be. It's best if you can turn them in one swift, very sure move. They might break up. It's not the end of the world. There's lots of sort of flavourings from afar in those, lemongrass and chilies, and I want something that will sort of bring them back down to earth. And mushy peas is the way to go. It's so fine, that crisp crust. It's absolutely feather light. And then inside, this wonderful soft crab with citrus notes. It's a long way from fish and chips, but it really is quite heavenly.
This recipe is very adaptable. Try different types of fish. If you don't like the coriander, then try a handful of chopped parsley. The main thing to remember is don't move the fish cakes around the pan. You want to make sure you end up with soft fish with that gorgeous chip shop crunch. Soft and crisp, textures that are great on their own, but just so wonderful together. So when you cook, if you think about mixing textures as well as flavours, you'll transform the dishes that you make. Next time, I'll be looking at sugar and spice. They're taste sensations that are perfectly matched, and not just in delectable desserts. They also help make some savoury dishes into delicious treats.
Sugar and spice, and absolutely gorgeous. It's like heaven on a spoon.